Hey everyone, welcome back. So today's explainer, it's an absolute game changer. We're digging into a 30-day masterclass that's completely backed by our sources, and it's designed to finally get you out of those endless grammar textbooks and into, the real world of actually speaking fluently. Okay, let's dive into this.
Let's be real for a second. We've all been there, right? You spent literally years grinding through grammar rules, memorizing endless vocabulary lists, and you can read English perfectly in your head. But the second you step into a coffee shop, or maybe you're in a professional meeting, and it's actually time to open your mouth and speak, you just freeze. The words literally vanish. It is beyond frustrating. But here's the good news from the sources we looked at. This is a completely fixable problem.
To fix it, we are going to unpack what's called the progressive toolkit. We'll be looking at the speaking mindset shift, the 15-minute daily routine, how to set up your AI conversation partner, and finally, perfecting the self-introduction.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the speaking mindset shift.
This is a massive shift. It means your goal is absolutely no longer flawless grammar, it's confident communication. Just think about this fantastic quote. English is like riding a bicycle. You don't learn it by reading a book, you learn it by practicing. Seriously, you can't just read a manual on how to balance, right? You literally have to get on the bike, wobble around a bit, and maybe even fall off a few times. Making mistakes isn't failing. It is, quite literally, just how you learn to balance. We're aiming for those daily micro wins.
And that actually brings us to the golden rule of this whole challenge. You have got to stop the exhausting habit of mental translation. You know the trap where you translate every single sentence from your native language into English in your head before you actually say it out loud. It's so incredibly slow, and honestly, it guarantees that you're going to hesitate. The golden rule here is forcing your brain to think directly in English. And sure, it feels super tricky at first, but your brain absolutely adapts. It really does.
To help with this direct thinking, I absolutely love this brilliant insight from one of our sources. A learner mentioned that they actually have their Spanish voice and they have their American voice. Adopting a brand new English persona can make the act of speaking feel way less scary. You might feel like you sound totally different when you're using English phrases, almost like you're playing a character. And you know what? That is perfectly okay. Let that new persona take all the pressure off.
Now, moving right along, here is Section 2, the 15-minute daily routine.
Now, what's really interesting about this next part is how it acts like a daily engine. It takes this massive, intimidating goal of learning English and breaks it down into incredibly bite-sized chunks. Here's exactly how it flows. For the first 1 to 3 minutes, just warm up. Literally talk to yourself out loud about how you feel or what you're doing. Just say, "I'm making breakfast." Then, minutes 4 to 7, listen to a short video clip and repeat it sentence by sentence, really trying to copy the rhythm. Minutes 8 to 10, use 3 to 5 new vocabulary words in your own sentences out loud. Minutes 11 through 13, you practice spontaneous speaking by answering a simple question like, "What did you do yesterday?" And finally, minutes 14 and 15, just do a quick recap of what you did. It's super focused, it's fast, and most importantly, it works.
So during that repetition phase we just talked about, you can use a technique called shadowing. Basically, you take simple daily routine sentences, things like, "I wake up early in the morning," or "I drink a glass of water," and you just repeat them out loud. Since you already know exactly what these actions mean, your brain isn't frantically trying to translate. You're just training your mouth muscles to produce natural English sounds without any of the pressure.
All right, let's jump into Section 3, your AI conversation partner.
That classic excuse of, "Oh, I have no one to talk to," that is completely gone now thanks to 24/7 AI tutors. But the absolutely crucial point here is knowing how to talk to them. You don't just type "let's chat." You've got to be specific. Take a look at this prompt. You literally tell the AI, "I am a beginner English learner. Be my English speaking partner. Ask one question at a time and wait for my answer. Focus on helping me speak confidently." By explicitly telling it to wait for your answer, you're training your brain with a natural back and forth conversation. And you can just use the voice chat feature right on your phone. To make this even more effective, our sources outline this really cool, structured 4-week challenge. So week 1 is honestly just about survival. Just start speaking daily and build the habit. Seriously, do not worry about grammar yet. Week 2, you step it up and tell the AI to ask follow-up questions to build your conversational stamina. Week 3, you finally ask the AI to start gently fixing your grammar. And then week 4, you challenge yourself to answer questions by speaking for 1 full minute without stopping. It's a great way to systematically eliminate that fear of making mistakes.
Now look, if you're not super into using AI, that's totally fine. You can use solo practice. This is where you grab a situational dialogue, like say ordering food at a restaurant.
And you literally act out both sides of the conversation out loud. I know, it feels a bit strange at first to play both the waiter and the customer, but it heavily forces your brain to think rapidly from two completely different perspectives, and that builds some incredible conversational agility.
Let's move to Section 4, Perfecting the Self-Introduction, and see how all this builds.
Because all of this solo practice, it ultimately leads to real-world application, and a crystal-clear self-introduction sets the foundation for literally every conversation you'll have. But of course, introductions change completely depending on the context. I mean, bumping into a friend at a coffee shop requires a very different energy and vocabulary than standing up on your first day at a new corporate job, right? You really need to be adaptable, reading the room to decide if you're going to use a super casual, "Hi, I'm Sarah," or a much more formal, "Hello, my name is David Chen."
So to ensure you are never caught off guard, our Preply source actually offers this incredible, foolproof 8-step framework, and it flows beautifully. You start off with a greeting and your name, then your location and your role. Next, you drop in a brief background highlight, followed by the purpose of the meeting. Then you add a quick personal detail, just to build some rapport. And finally, you end with a closing invitation to pass the microphone back to them.
Let's actually look at this in action. Here is a concrete, fill-in-the-blank script that you can use right away. It goes, "Hi, I'm Maria. I'm from Mexico City and I work as a graphic designer. I'm here because I want to connect with other creative professionals. In my free time, I love hiking. What brings you here today?" Boom. In just about 30 seconds, you shared exactly what the listener needs to know, you've shown some personality, and you've naturally invited them into a conversation.
However, we definitely need to talk about a few common pitfalls you've got to avoid. First, never use highly formal language like, "How do you do?" with friends at a coffee shop. It just sounds completely bizarre. Also, try to avoid translating idioms directly from your native language because honestly, they rarely make sense in English. And please avoid the dreaded 5-minute monologue. When someone asks what's new, the right length is like 3 to 4 sentences maximum, and then you bounce a question back to them. Keep it simple and just focus on actually connecting with the person.
As we start to wrap up this explainer, the biggest key takeaway from all of our sources is simply this: confidence is built through practice, not perfection. Every single fluent expert you've ever heard, every person you've seen presenting seamlessly in English, they were once exactly where you are right now, a beginner, just struggling to string a few simple sentences together. The only difference is they kept practicing.
So I'm going to leave you with this thought. What will your English sound like in 30 days? Think about it. If you embrace making mistakes, if you start that 15-minute daily routine literally today, and if you let an AI be your daily conversation partner, you're going to be completely blown away by your own progress. Get out there, open your mouth, and just start speaking. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.